I need your guys' help. I need your opinion. This morning, my dad and I had an argument, and I'm gonna break it all down. I want to break it down and tell you what we argued over, and I want to know your guys' opinion on who was in the right, who was in the wrong. Does my argument make sense? Now, before I even tell you what happened, let me just say, as always, I'm in the wrong. Because I'm always in the wrong. No matter how I feel, no matter what I think, I'm always in the wrong. That's just how the world is. The world is always against me. Okay, so what did we argue about this morning? So this morning was going fine. I'll explain what happened to the rest of my day today. Okay, where am I going again? I'm going over here. Because we got this one to do. The one for Terrytown. Wait, am I supposed to go here first? Ocala is far to the north. Pay Hudson a visit. Yeah, I think so. I think I just head straight over. I'm facing the wrong direction. Am I? So, what happened this morning? Well, this morning, as usual, everything was playing out normally. I'm in my bathroom. I'm getting ready for the day. And then, my dad knocks on my bathroom door. Now, before moving forward, let me just mention one thing. It pisses me off that my dad constantly, whenever I'm in the bathroom, it pisses me off that he constantly knocks on my door for something, whether to tell me something or to ask me a question, and it's never really anything crucial or anything important. It's all things that could easily just wait until I'm done, until I'm out. So, every time I'm in the bathroom, whether it be brushing my teeth, or taking a dump, or in the shower, I always get a knock at the door. And it pisses me off. I guess you could say, when I'm in the bathroom, I don't like to be disturbed, because I'm in the bathroom doing my business. Whether it be, like I said, brushing my teeth, or taking a shower, I'm doing something in there. So, please don't disturb me. So, my dad does this all the time. Whenever I'm in the bathroom, he always knocks on the door for my attention, whether it be to ask me something stupid, something that isn't important, or to tell me something that could have waited until I'm done being in the bathroom. So, it's a pet peeve of mine to essentially be bothered while I'm in the bathroom. Minding my own business, doing something in there. Okay, so I need to go and find a Goron. Okay, so now that I've established that I don't like to be bothered while I'm in the bathroom, but it happens all the time. And I also want to point out, I also want to make it clear that majority of the time, it's always my dad. Not very often does my mom or sister do that. When I'm in the bathroom, not often do they knock on the door to tell me something. It happens periodically, but not often whatsoever. My dad, however, it would happen it could happen maybe a couple times a week. So multiple times, and it pisses me off. It bothers me. It upsets me. Like, I'm in the bathroom doing something. Please just leave me alone. And majority of the time, the things that are to be told to me aren't that important. It could have honestly waited until I was out of the bathroom. So, majority of the time, it is my dad who does it, and it happens quite often. Alright, now that we have that established. So, what happened this morning? This morning I was in the bathroom, I was on the throne, and then my dad knocked on the door. He didn't even tell me what he wanted to tell me. Instead, he asked me, "Son, Do you have the exhaust fan on in there? Oh, I probably should have warned you guys that the things that we argue over are very small and petty. Like, these are very small things to get upset over. So, he knocked on the door, didn't even tell me what he initially wanted to tell me, but instead, he screamed, or he said across the door, "Do you have the exhaust fan on?" And that pissed me off. Not only did you bother me while I'm using the bathroom, you asked me a stupid question like, "Do you have the exhaust fan on?" So, this pissed me off. I know it's something very small to get angry about, but it pissed me off regardless. So, I very angrily left the bathroom, tried to see where he was, and then I confronted my dad about it. I confronted my dad like, "Dad, what business of it is yours? What business is it of yours if I'm using the bathroom and if I have the exhaust fan or not? If I turned on the exhaust fan or not while I'm taking a shit?" Some of you might question, well, why don't you? That's disgusting. Why don't you turn on the exhaust fan? What if I just like to save a little bit of electricity by not turning it on, I would like to mention that I guess you could say I'm privileged enough to live in a house where each one of my family members has their own bathroom. So, I have my own bathroom, my sister has her own bathroom, and so on. So, this being my bathroom, the one that I use, the one that only I use, what's the matter to anyone else if I turn on the exhaust fan or not while I take a shit? Right? If I was living in a household where there was one bathroom and everyone has to share it, then yes, I would turn it on, just to reduce the stink before someone else comes in and uses it. But, you know, that's not the case here. I have my own bathroom, the one that I use and only I use, no one else uses it. No one else is going to go into my bathroom, you know? No one else is going to use my bathroom after me. So, what does it matter if I have the exhaust fan on in my own bathroom or not? Like, what business of that is it of my dad's, right? So, my dad being all pissed off about me confronting him, me bringing this up to him, so he got angry and then he yelled back. It's like, what do you mean, what business of it is mine? It stinks! Every time I walk by, I can smell it from the outside. That was his argument. But then I make the argument, Dad, only you ever walk by. Mom doesn't ever walk by whenever I'm in the bathroom. Sister does not either. Only you do. Only you come by my bathroom so often, whenever I'm actually in it, to the point of that. You know, of that being the case. And another thing too. My dad said that he can smell it from the outside. Right? So it's like, well, what do you expect? It's just our natural, disgusting human body fumes. Sure, turning on the exhaust fan may reduce that, but it won't completely get rid of it, you know? Oh, right, I need to make it nighttime when he's done his shift. And then my dad yelled back like, "This, you are selfish, you are inconsiderate for not turning it on, because it affects the rest of us." Oh, I'm gonna get into that hypocrisy in just a moment. Was it you? No.
Yeah.
Like, suddenly I'm selfish, and I only care about myself because when I take a dump in my own bathroom that nobody else uses, I don't turn on the exhaust fan for the slim chance that somebody walks by and is able to smell my butt fumes from the outside. If you remember a long time ago, near the beginning of this playthrough, when I discussed the Japan trip I went on with my parents, my dad did the exact same thing. In Japan, we lived in an Airbnb where, granted, the spacing there is much smaller, much tighter than over here. I was in the bathroom doing the same thing, pooing, minding my own business. My dad walks by, knocks on the door and goes, "Son, do you have the exhaust fan in there? Or do you have it on in there? It stinks! I can smell it from out here!" It's like, what business is it of anyone's if I have the goddamn fan on inside or not? What? Now, granted, that instance in Japan, yes, I did have it on. But here at home, like I said, so what if I want to save a little bit of electricity by not turning it on? One, it's my bathroom. Nobody else is going to use it. Nobody else is going to go into it. And two, the smell was going to... It's not like the smell isn't going to dissipate on its own anyways, right? It's not like the smell won't just naturally go away on its own over time. Just give it like 5 minutes, it'll just vanish on its own. Why did I just take that off and put it back on? So, we argued back and forth. Hey look, luminous stones. We argued back and forth. I was trying to make the argument that it's my bathroom. I can choose to not turn it on if I want to. What business is it of yours if I do it or not? If I turn it on or not? And then I also make the argument, Dad, you always bother me when I'm in the bathroom. It's always just you too. You don't see Mom doing it. You don't see Mom constantly looking for me when I'm taking a shit. When I'm in the bathroom, you don't see Sister do it. Hell, you know what? I don't see you ever bothering them when they're in the bathroom. I don't see when Mom is in the bathroom or Sister is in the bathroom. I don't see you going up to them, knocking on their door to ask something. You always only do it to me. Oh, 20 bundles of wood. I was about to go off and find the next person whose name ends in son. Okay, so think about this for a second. Let me give you an example. So, think about this for a second. Let me ask you this. How often do you guys out there have a question to ask someone, and that someone just happened to be in the bathroom, using the bathroom, right? How often does that happen? How often does that alone happen? Not that often? Okay, well, for the sake of the argument, let's say that that scenario came up. You just have something urgent to ask someone, and that person just happened to be using the bathroom. So, you knock on the door to ask the question, right? How often, in that position, would you ask, "Damn, do you have the exhaust fan on in there? It stinks! I can smell it from out here." How often will you bring that up? Or would you just knock on the door, ask the question, and just go about your business? Am I right or am I wrong? Would you do that? If you just happen to need to ask someone a question who is in the bathroom, so you walk up to the bathroom door, and instead of asking the question, instead of saying what you need to say, you just go, "Oh, I can smell it from out here. Do you have the exhaust fan on in there?" I don't think many of you would say you've done that. And in this case, my dad has now done that twice. And so that's my side of the argument. You have to keep in mind my dad's side of the argument. He's saying that I'm selfish, I only care about myself. I don't think about others. So I don't think about others. I'm inconsiderate to others when I don't turn on the exhaust fan for the off chance that somebody walking across my bathroom door on the other side can smell the flatulence. So I'm selfish for that, right? I am selfish. I only care about myself because I'm not thinking, let me turn on the exhaust fan. I don't want someone walking by to be disgusted. So I'm selfish for that, huh? That's my dad's winning argument? And let me get into the hypocrisy. Am I even going the right way? I'm not! Oops. I need to go that way, idiot. I need to go to here. Or is it here? I think it's here. Going in the complete wrong direction. So, let me get into the hypocrisy of what my dad does. Remember how previously I mentioned my dad would smoke in the garage just because of the oh-so inconvenience of simply stepping outside to smoke? And then I also mentioned that previously my dad would smoke in the kitchen and exhale all of his smoke fumes directly into the exhaust fan, like the kitchen exhaust fan, the one on top of the stove, so at least it gets taken right outside. Once again, because of the oh-so inconvenient hurdle that is stepping outside to smoke. Which, I also want to mention that, too, just as a little side note. Yes, I turn on the exhaust fan in the kitchen when I'm cooking. Because that's the kitchen, that affects everyone, and we cook with an actual gas grill with an open flame. We don't want CO2 in the house, or is it carbon monoxide? Whatever. So yes, I do turn on the exhaust fan when cooking. And also, yes, I turn on the exhaust fan in my bathroom when I shower. You know, because there's going to be steam and moisture in the air that could damage the wall and the ceiling and whatnot. So, it's just when I'm taking a dump that I'd want to maybe save a little bit of electricity so I don't turn it on. The smell will dissipate anyways, and not like anyone else is going to come into my bathroom. So anyways, yeah, I mentioned that my dad would smoke in the garage, with the door open, of course. Something else my dad does, which pisses me off, but, you know, I don't say anything. So remember how I said we each have our own bathroom? So that's the case with with my dad. He has his own bathroom that he uses. And what does he do? You guessed it, he smokes in his bathroom. He smokes in his bathroom, and then he uses air freshener, like Febreze. He uses air freshener to try to cover up the smoke. He turns on the exhaust fan, and then he leaves the door closed. There is a window. I have the wrong boots on. There is a window in that bathroom, but of course he doesn't open it. So in my dad's own bathroom that he uses, that only he uses, he smokes in there. He sprays air fresheners after he smokes to cover up the scent. He does not open the window. He turns on the exhaust fan and he leaves the door closed. And yes, when I walk by, I can smell the smoke. But do I question him about it? Do I tell him, Dad, don't do this? No, because that's his bathroom. Do I like it? No, but I don't knock on the door and I don't say anything. That's his bathroom. It's what he does in it. What business is it of mine? Right? Now, this is totally different from when I confronted my dad about smoking in the kitchen. Because he would put his cigarettes out in the compost bin. And that's the kitchen where everyone walks by all the time. We open the compost bin all the time. I'm starting to think that the person's not here. Is she actually in Gerudo Town? She might be. But no, I think I remember her being here. Maybe it's nighttime and she's asleep. Well, I know it's not you. Or is it just you wandering around? Nope. Ah, yes, there's a memory there. So yeah, my dad would put his cigarette butts out in the compost. And you know, that alone would still stink up the whole kitchen. The middle of the house where everyone's at all the time. So I confronted him about that, because it did indeed affect the rest of us, not infect. Is she not here? Or is she inside? Oh, is this it? Is this her? Yeah, this is her. No, it is too early. I knew she was here. So yeah, the hypocrisy. My dad calls me selfish for not being considerate of others, turning on the exhaust fan, just in case someone walks by and is able to smell all the stink from the other side of the door. While he smokes inside his own bathroom, doesn't even open a window or anything, he just leaves the exhaust fan on, and then tries to cover up the smell with some sort of air freshener spray. Saying that I'm inconsiderate when he still smokes in the house because of the enormous inconvenience of stepping outside. But do I confront my dad about that? Do I, you know, do I say anything about that? No. And also, I don't really ever bother anyone in the bathroom while they're in the bathroom using it, unless it's something urgent. Not really. My dad, he would often, very often, ask me something while I'm in the bathroom. And it pisses me off, because I'm doing something in there. This really couldn't have waited until I'm done and I'm out. So anyways, long story short, this morning my dad and I had an argument about me not turning the exhaust fan on while I have a dump, or while I take a dump. Like I said, I don't do it when I'm pooing because I just try to save a little bit of electricity. But I do turn it on when I shower or when I'm cooking in the kitchen. And I'm making the argument, what business is it of my dad's if I'm in my own bathroom and I choose not to turn it on? My dad's argument is that I'm selfish. I don't consider anyone else because anyone else walking by can smell the putrid fumes that are leaking out of the just the door. You know how the door has a little gap at the bottom? But in reality, it's really only my dad who ever, always, regularly stops by my bathroom door when I'm in there. Mom doesn't, sister doesn't, it's just Dad, and he does it all the time. Like, all the time I'm in the bathroom, he would stop by and ask me something, as if it was so urgent it couldn't wait until I was out, until I was done and out. So am I in the wrong here? My lack of self-confidence in myself tells me, yes, I am in the wrong. I swear to God, I know people are going to bring up the argument, you should be more grateful to your parents, to your father. He raised you. He gave you everything. Listen, folks, I'm not talking about being disrespectful to your parents, okay? But I find it absolutely absurd that you cannot question or call out your parents when they do something wrong or they pick up bad habits, bad tendencies, and you're not allowed to call them out on it. The argument is always, they're your parents. They gave you everything. They raised you. Yeah, but does that mean you're not ever allowed to confront them whenever they do something wrong? Or whenever they pick up a bad habit? So parents are perfect, right? Everything they do is perfect. Everything they do is right. They never do anything wrong. And you're never allowed to speak up whenever something they do is wrong. Or something that they do annoys you. Wait, what did I have to do? I'm not even paying attention to what he's saying. Oh, right, Rito. I actually don't really remember where to find this guy. So, because my dad raised me, because he gave me everything, I'm not allowed to call him out when he does something wrong? Or I'm not allowed to call him out whenever he picks up a bad habit? A bad habit like smoking in his bathroom. Like questioning if I simply have the exhaust fan on while I'm using my own bathroom. So none of that's allowed. I just have to live with it. I'm not allowed to try to correct the things that he's not doing right. So I just have to take it, I really hate the argument. I really hate that mentality where you're never allowed to question your parents. You're never allowed to, I guess, kind of fight back. But, like, I'm not talking about disrespecting your parents. You know? I'm talking about just fixing what they're doing wrong. What was I saying anymore? Now I completely lost my train of thought.
Hi.
And maybe it'll be different. Maybe one day if I become a parent myself, I will see things differently and I will think, how dare my kid disrespect me like this when I gave him everything? Maybe when I'm a parent I'll see it like that. But one thing parents, or at least my parents, don't really have is an open mind. They don't really ever, you know, the stuff that we call them out on what they're doing wrong, they don't really ever have an open mind on maybe something is wrong, maybe something they're doing isn't right, maybe I should take, what am I doing? Maybe something I'm doing right now isn't right if it's pissing some of my family members off. You know? It's always, oh, kids are young, they don't know what they're doing. I'm an adult, I have more experience in life, I know what I'm doing. You know? It's always that. So I guess by that logic, yeah, I'm wrong. You know?
Yeah.
Faison, there we go. So that's the argument that my dad and I had this morning. It pisses me off that he always bothers me when I'm in my bathroom doing my own thing. And you know, it pisses me off that he questions. This is the second time that he's questioned, do I have the exhaust fan on? Just because, like I keep saying, what business is it of his if I do or not? Remember, the case in Japan, I did have it on. And let me just point this out too. The exhaust fan in the bathroom's not going to get rid of all the fumes in there. You're still going to smell something. The exhaust fan's only going to do so much. Sure, it may reduce the stink, but there's still going to be stink there nonetheless. You have to give it time for everything to air out. That's just the physics of the world we live in. So, even if I had my exhaust fan on this morning, my dad would likely still have smelt it. He still would have questioned. And that's the thing that pisses me off the most. The fact that he even questioned. Because, in my opinion, he shouldn't even need to question in the first place, because it's none of his business. You know, we're not even talking about something concerning a kid would do, and, you know, they say it's not their parents' business. It's not even like I'm a teen sneaking out of the house middle of the night and it's like, it's none of your business what I do. It's not even something like that. I'm talking, it's no one else's business if I turn on the goddamn exhaust fan in my bathroom or not.
Ooh. Ooh.
So anyways, am I wrong? Short answer, yes. Because I'm wrong about everything. You know, in my life, I've noticed a pattern. Everything I do is wrong. No matter what opinion I have, no matter what actions I do, I'm always wrong. Well, that has kind of demotivated me to simply just not really do things anymore. Whether it be do things around the house, do things at the family store, or even, worst of all, at a job. I don't really want to do things that I'm not told to do. Because in my experience, no matter what I do, just out of the kindness of my heart, the initiative I take to actually get up and do things that I wasn't told to do, I always experience backlash for it. I always experience getting told, why did you do this? Or, you did this wrong. No one asked you to do this. And, well, that's very demotivating. Especially when it happens your entire life. So, I just don't really want to do anything anymore. Because I just know, if I do, then I'm just gonna be called out for it. But, then again, if I don't do anything, I'm just gonna be called lazy and, you know. So it's a double-edged sword. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know, when you get told your entire life that everything you do is wrong, you are stupid, you're worthless, you can't do anything right. When you get told that your entire life, you really only have one way to think of yourself. And, well, you've all seen how I turned out. So, I'm trying to find this sun-ending Zora. Anyways, that's what happened this morning. I don't think it's you, right? No. You're for a different side quest. Hey, Sidon! So yeah, what do you guys think? Now that I've explained everything, what do you think? Tell me how wrong I am for this. Tell me how disrespectful I am to my dad, I should be grateful, blah blah blah, but remember what I said. Does that mean that I should never be allowed to call out my parents for doing something wrong? Or bad habits? Didn't I already take down that Lionel? Oh, wants a picture. Oh, a snail, nice. Is it you? Capsun, not Capsaicin. Like, is it so hard for someone to just simply have some peace and alone time when he's in the bathroom, in his own bathroom, where no one else uses it and everyone else has their own? Like I said, if I lived in a household where there was just one bathroom and everyone had to share, then, I would expect a knock on the door every now and then. Something like, hurry up, I gotta go. You've been in there for an hour, kind of thing. Something like that. But that's not the case here. We each have our own bathrooms in this house. And like I keep saying, my dad constantly wants to talk to me, wants to tell me something, wants to ask me something when I'm in the bathroom. Never when my mom or my sister are in their bathrooms doing their own business. It's always just me. And it pisses me off. It's like, please just leave me alone while I'm in here. And just ask me or tell me whatever it is when I'm done. Is that so hard to ask just for a little peace and alone time when I'm just simply using my own bathroom? And like I keep saying, what business is it of his? What business is it of anyone's if I am in my own bathroom and I make my own choices? I turn on the exhaust fan when I shower, but not when I poo. What's the issue with that? The smell will dissipate on its own anyways. But enough about that. I have said my piece. I've said everything there is to say about this argument. And today was a long day. Today was a pretty, just want to get Link to look presentable for the wedding. I like this outfit. I like the way he looks here. Yeah, remember that job interview I mentioned previously? The one that I said is far away and now I don't even have any train of thoughts to say. And that I didn't feel like it went very well. Well, surprisingly enough, I actually got a call back, like, do you have time for a second interview? And as much as I didn't want to go, because of how far it is, I had to say, yes, I have time, I can make it. Yeah. So, yesterday my day was kind of ruined by that. Yesterday I got the call asking if the next day, so earlier today, if I can go in for a second interview. And once again, I was pretty surprised to hear back because even I thought that interview wasn't really one of my best. I am at the wrong spot. I need to go to Hateno, not Kakariko. So, because it was such a hassle to drive there last time for the first interview, and as I mentioned previously, driving there constantly is kind of not viable because you never know about traffic jams early in the morning on the highways, or even weather conditions like when it snows. That's going to be really unreliable. So if I were to get this job, hypothetically, I would need to learn how to take the subway there. And I don't know how to use the subway here. I never been on the subway here before. I just always drove everywhere. Yesterday on my day off, I got the call in for a second interview. And so yesterday, I reluctantly learned how to subway there. I didn't want to, but you know, I had to do it so that I would know how to get there. So that's what I did. Yesterday, I had plans of my own on my day off, but then my plans were ruined because I had to spend the day learning how to subway there. And then today, after my argument with my dad, I did the same thing. I subwayed there now that I learned the routes to get there.
Oh.
And so my second interview was at 3 in the afternoon. It takes about an hour and a half to subway there, because I gotta drive to this station on the highway, and that alone takes about 20 minutes, and then it's about 40 to 60 minutes to subway all the way there. So it takes roughly an hour and a half for me to get from home to get to this place. And that's not even accounting, like I said, weather or traffic, because it could be more. It does take me 20 minutes on the highway to get to the first subway station, and then it takes me nearly an hour to actually subway there. So it takes roughly, bare minimum on a good day, about an hour and a half to get there. So today the second interview was more so to actually get to know me as a person. The first interview was mostly business. You know, it's asking, how are you in this line of field? What are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? How long have you been doing this? All the stuff about business talking. They did ask me a question. Or rather, she did ask me a question, the manager. I assume she's the manager. She's pretty, but she's like my sister's age, so she's like 5 or 6 years older than me, minimum. She's still pretty, though. Anyways, so she asked me this question, which I kind of feel sad even needs to be asked, but given what I just said. So she asked me, it's an all-female staff. Do you have any issues with that? Have you worked with an all-female staff before? Or have you worked with, you know, a staff with both men and women? And have you noticed any difference? And I'm just like, no, it's the same. You know, you're working with other staff members. I find it kind of sad a question like that even needs to be asked. Do you have any issues working with an all-female staff? I find it sad that something like that even needs to be asked. But given the world we live in, yeah.
Oi.
So today, the second interview did not actually take place in the store itself, but rather in the mall food court. Just because the room that we did the interview in last time, well, that was being occupied, that was being used for business at the moment, so we walked to the mall food court to have an interview, and it was loud. So a lot of times I couldn't even hear a lot of the times I couldn't even hear the questions she asked me to actually answer her, so I had to constantly be like, excuse me, can you repeat that? And then there were 2 times where 2 guys came up. There were 2 separate instances where one person comes up asking for spare change. So, this time, the questions were more about me, asking about me. Like, what kind of person am I? And I guess it kind of makes sense that they would want to have that covered as well before they start the hiring process, you know? Stuff like, am I reliable? Am I short-fused? Or am I down to earth? That kind of stuff. How do I do when it comes to stuff? Like, am I a fun person? Am I a positive person to be around? Am I a, a buzzkill? That kind of stuff. So I was asked, there was one question. I was asked, what did you do this past weekend? And I gave her an example of something I did at work. And she was just like, oh, you went to work? Do you do anything outside of work? And then I just kind of told her that, you know what? Let's do something simple first. Let's do this. This one's quick. This one's simple. So she asked me, do I do anything outside of work? And I said, well, I hang out with friends from time to time. We do things like watch movies, go to restaurants, or just sit down and chat. Like we would sit down at a McDonald's and just chat. She asked me what kind of movies we would watch, and I just said, anything. Horror, comedy, animated movies, we watch anything. And then she asked me, like, during your free time, what do you like to do? Oh, isn't that the golden question right there? Damn, there's side quests everywhere. Side quests galore. Am I even going the right way? No, I'm not. So, yeah, she asked me what do I like to do in my free time. Like, what interests me? Excuse me, lady. What do I like to do myself? So I told her I like to watch shows at home. I play games at home. Then she asked me what kind of games. I didn't want to explicitly answer the specific games I play because I feel like I just kind of feel like the games that I'm into are kind of childish. But a lot of people out there would disagree, and that there are a lot of people who would agree. So I told her, oh, I like to play some fantasy games, some adventure games, some story-driven games. And then she asked me, okay, what are these games called? What specific games do you like to play? It's like, well, shit. Oh, well, I guess I'll be honest. I like to play Zelda games. I like to play Persona games. Pokemon, I play that. Well, I play games like GTA. I periodically play Valorant with the guys. Maybe mentioning I play Mario would be a little bit far. I mean, what sounds better, me saying I play games like that, or me saying I play games like Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil. Not that there's anything wrong with those games. I'm trying to say, like, how would it come off if I said I play these kind of childish kiddie games like Zelda and Pokemon versus violent games like, Metal Gear or Resident Evil? I mean, I did say GTA 5. Or, I not 5 specifically, I did say GTA. I wonder if she even knows what that is. I didn't even say Grand Theft Auto, I said GTA. What is that? Wait, what was that? Oh, that's a duck! I couldn't even tell what that was in the water. To me, it kind of looked like a bokoblin struggling in the water. But then it's like, one, how did a bokoblin get there? And two, why isn't the bokoblin dead yet? And I'm not gonna lie, I kinda hope I don't get this job, despite the fact that this job pays well, has great benefits. It's just because of how long the goddamn commute is. Even the most efficient way to get there, being the highway, plus subway, is still around an hour and a half. So, if I were to get the job, the shift would be like 10 a.m. to maybe 9 p.m. That's a long-ass shift. And then you have to factor in how early I gotta wake up to get there on time. If it takes about an hour and a half and I gotta be there by 10 a.m., I gotta be out of the house by 8. Which means I might have to wake up around 6 in the morning just to make sure I get ready. Hell, even my previous job, when I had to be there by 10 a.m. and it was like a 30-minute drive, I still had to wake up at 8 in the morning to really make sure that I was ready. I don't want to wake up at 6 a.m., be out of the house by 8 a.m., and then work like an 11-hour shift. And then, you know, about an hour and a half back home. Yo, can I just get a picture of you? Hold on, let me make sure I can get your good side! Alright, peace out. But yeah, I kind of hope I don't get this job. Just because of the struggle it would be to actually get there. So after the job interview, which lasted about 30 minutes, so it was about 3:30 in the afternoon, I was set to go home. I had nothing else to do here. I got nothing else to do for the rest of the day. I was ready to just go home. And then a friend texted me. It's like, yo, are you here? It's like, yeah. Yo, you want to hang out? I'm nearby. I'm around the area. Why am I walking around the shrine? I always do this just in case there's lotus seeds or crabs to pick up. But I already picked it up earlier. So yeah, he asked me, are you nearby? Yes. You want to hang out or were you going to go home? And then I replied, yeah, I was going to go home unless you want to meet up. So we met up and then we grabbed some food. Oh wait, isn't the person over here? So because this was literally, I kid you not, the second time I ever took the subway, I followed his lead. He asked me, any preference? Any food do you want to get? I said, nope, you decide. I'm open to anything. So there was this Korean restaurant, like couple subway stations down. He wanted to try it, and I did say I was open to anything, so we tried it. And man, did I make a mistake with what I ordered. I ordered the stone bowl thing. The stone bowl with the marinated beef instead of the regular beef. The marinated beef with the kimchi over rice. Now, had I ordered the regular beef, it would not have come with kimchi, but instead came with just assorted vegetables. I ordered the marinated beef with kimchi over rice just to give it a try, and man, what a mistake that was. Because I can't handle spicy food. Spicy food, no bueno for me. Spicy food's just not for me. Ooh. Him, however, yeah, he loves spicy food, so it was perfectly fine for him. Me, though, I was struggling. At least when it comes to spicy food like kimchi, or at least the kimchi we had today, at least it was, at least the spiciness for the kimchi didn't linger like spicy food does. The moment the kimchi touches your tongue, it's spicy, you swallow it, and then, you know, the spicy sensation doesn't stay in your mouth. So at least that's nice. But still, oh, was it hot. I can't handle spicy food, I'm sorry. My parents often warn me not to find a Korean girlfriend. You know, despite the fact that Koreans are beautiful, and you know that's true. They warned me not to find a Korean girlfriend just because of the culture. Like Korean food, you would not live if you have to eat that every day. Koreans love their spicy food. So yeah, that was at least that was a pleasant surprise today. It was a pretty rough day. Argument with my dad. Just a second job interview for a job I quote-unquote don't really want. But if I do get the job, it's like, ah, shit. Fine. Gotta do what you gotta do, right? And if I gotta spend an hour and a half to commute, then that's what I gotta do. Think about that scene from Ted. Remember that scene from Ted where he was getting the job interview for the grocery store? It's like, you're hired. Shit. Remember that? Remember that scene? That's me. If I get this job, it's like, oh shit. I don't know, a part of me has my fingers crossed I don't get this job, you know? But it is me throwing opportunities away, I know. In reality, I should be craving this job. I should be scratching at the neck, hoping I get this job. But it's just the goddamn commute is so long, man. And then on top of the commute, the hours. Like an 11-hour shift. I'm sure starting off, I won't do the whole 11 hours, but, you know, let's say in the future, if I do get the job in the future, I will most likely get to that level. But then again, that's what I said about the previous job I had, and, well, that only lasted a month. Yeah, at least it was a pleasant surprise. Today was pretty rough. Argument with my dad in the morning, and then a second job interview that was so far away. You know, it was a nice surprise. A friend of mine was nearby, and he wanted to hang out, grab a bite. It's like, sure. Aw, Giant Ancient Core and Star Fragment, two of the rarest items in the whole game. And I need enough of that to upgrade all three. Wait, if I have 9 Giant Ancient Cores, you know, 2, 4, 6. But I'm pretty sure there's more in the game that need that, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe the amiibo ones. Yeah, I need to look into that. If it turns out I don't need any more Giant Ancient Cores and I have more than enough right now, then great! One less thing for us to do. Ugh. Oh yeah, also, I didn't really get much sleep last night. Yesterday, after, you know, just learning the entire subway route, how to actually ride the damn subway here, that took a couple hours for me to actually get there and then get back home. Because it wasn't enough for me to simply be like, alright, I saw the map, I know how to get there, let's go home. No, I actually had to ride. Or maybe not had to, but I should have actually ridden the entire subway route, get there, so that way I can actually experience it myself, see for myself which station to stop at, you know, where to get off, where the next subway is to walk to. And it's a good thing I did that too, because when I actually got to the workplace, well, I overshot by 1 subway station. Like, I went over by 1. So, I had to walk from the station to the actual place itself. And you know what? That was a good learning moment. It's like, okay, you don't stop at that station, you stop 1 before that. Got it. Now I know. So yeah, subwaying there, and then subwaying back, drive on the highway back. Well, it was pretty exhausting, especially because this was my first ever time riding the subway here. I had to learn everything. I saw a blue rupee slide somewhere. I think that's it. So I was pretty exhausted yesterday. I came home, I took a nap. I took a pretty fat nap. And then when I woke up, I had a milk tea. So there's caffeine in my system. I didn't really get much sleep last night. I was able to sleep at night, but then I woke up early. I woke up like 8:30 in the morning today. So I didn't get too much sleep last night. Argument with my dad in the morning, and then a job interview that I really didn't expect. So, yeah, it's been a long day. What do we have to do next? Well, we just walked past a whole bunch of side quests in Zora's Domain. We'll get to them. I think next time we should do the Thunderhelm. Just because that includes a whole bunch of other side quests from Gerudo Town. So I think next time we're going to do the Thunderhelm side quest. Yeah.